Hello, everyone. Hello, can everybody hear me? Okay, good. Hey, hello, everyone. Welcome to this session. Welcome to the AMA session for today with José, Pedro, Magalhães. I'm Gihong Ho. I will be moderating this session. And as you may already know, the theme of this AMA session is academic move. So fortunately, we have a right person here, and I'm happy to introduce Pedro. Pedro did his PhD in the topic of data type genetic programming at the Utrecht University. And then after his postdoc, he moved from academia to industry. And now he is working at Standard Chartered Bank. So today I'm very excited to hear his journey from Haskell academic to Haskell developer in industry. So Pedro, hello. I would like to ask the
Hello.
first question. Hello. I would like to ask the first question. So could you introduce yourself a bit more and explain what you are working on at Standard Chartered Bank?
Hey, Kihong. Sure. I wonder though, perhaps we should wait 3 more minutes or so, because I think we are a bit ahead of schedule.
Oh, I see. Oh, we are a bit earlier. Okay. Okay, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the idea is that we open the session first so people can join, but we
Mm.
should probably wait until the scheduled time.
Okay. Good. Okay, we have 15 people in this session. So thanks for coming. If you have any question, please use the chat box on the right hand side. Especially there is a tab for Q&A. So in the Q&A, you can ask a question, and then I will pick some of the question on the stage, and everybody can see the question. And okay, you have okay. So please ask as many questions as you can, even before the session started. Okay.
That's good, so I can read the questions and prepare in advance.
Yes, nice. Okay, 19. Okay, it's time to get started. Okay. So hello everyone. So welcome to this AMA session for today with José and Pedro Magalhães. So I will be moderating this session. I'm Gihong from KAIST. So as you may already know, the topic of this AMA session is especially academic move. So fortunately, we have a right person here, and I'm very happy to introduce Pedro. Pedro did his PhD in the topic of data type genetic programming at the Utrecht University, and then after his postdoc, he moved from academia to industry, and now he's working at Standard Chartered Bank. And today, I'm very excited to hear his journey from academia to Haskell developer in industry. So hello, Pedro.
Hi, Kihong. Thank you very
Hi.
much for the introduction.
Yeah. I'd like to ask the first question. So, could you explain yourself a bit more and what you are working on at Standard Chartered Bank?
Sure. So, yeah, first of all, hello everyone. I'm very happy to be here. I'm José Pedro Magalhães, but I generally go just by Pedro. First thing I should say is that my views are my own and they do not necessarily represent the views of my employers, present or past. And that's actually, interestingly, already quite probably an example of what's different between academia and an industry. I think probably these kind of rules exist in academia as well, but I think industry tends to take this more seriously on whether you are acting as a spokesperson for the company or not. Anyway, um, right. So I did my PhD in Utrecht that finished in 2012. Then I did a postdoc in Oxford, which finished in 2015. During the time that I was in Oxford, I was also the co-founder of Cordify. So that was, well, one of my industry experiences. But though that was a quite different experience from Standard Chartered, which I joined after I finished the postdoc. So I've been Standard Chartered since 2015. That's about 6.5 years now. At Standard Chartered, I lead a team of about 20 developers. They are they're all essentially full-time working as Haskell developers. Um, I'm going to say Haskell many times when talking about what is done as Standard Chartered, but I probably actually mean Mu, technically speaking. So we have our own variant of Haskell, but for most purposes, they can be treated as the same because they're really very similar. So yeah, my team actually works with Mu, not Haskell. And we build applications. So the wider team that we are embedded in develops what's essentially financial analytics toolkit library that enables you to encode many types of financial contracts that are done between large financial institutions and companies, and also to value them over time and analyze its sensitivities to variations in the market prices of things, for example. And my team then exposes essentially that library to end users. So it allows you to, in an intuitive way, describe the kind of contracts you want to price, and then also price them, see their price evolution over time, backtest it, and also once you have 1 million trades,
Mm.
um, you probably want to see what you are exposed to. So we also do those kind of large-scale computations over large data sets. That's in a nutshell what uh,
Yeah.
what me and my team do at Standard Chartered.
Thank you. Very interesting. There are several questions in the Q&A board. So the first question, very simple question. So did you have tenure at university when you moved out of academia?
So that's a simple question. The answer is no. I I was a postdoc, and there was a 3-year postdoc program. I was at the end of it. I was looking for something else to do. Um, I think I was considering applying to positions, although probably even at that stage they would not be tenure positions. So yeah, the answer is no.
Okay. The second question from okay. So I don't know it is you are allowed to answer this question or not. So is it true that salaries in the industry are at least 2 times higher than in academia?
So I wondered how long it would take for the salary question to show up. That's the second question. That's pretty good. I certainly cannot comment on any particular salaries of Standard
Yeah.
Chartered, let's say, but I can comment uh, in the general case, and also given my experience and knowledge of other companies. 2 times, I don't know. I think it's certainly the case that industry pays more for software developers than academia does. Um, Probably that can go to a multiplier of 2 times for certain industries, maybe not all. Um, but yeah, I would think you're probably not too far off with a 2x measure in many cases.
Okay. Okay.
And
Thank you.
I mean, perhaps I think I should actually add a bit more on this. Uh, I think we underpay researchers and academia in general, but yeah, that's just a fact of reality.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. So the next question is this one. So you moved from academia to the industry. In your experience, how about the reverse arrow? So, i.e., moving from an industry job to academia, what would be the main challenges?
Right. So I think it probably depends how long you've been away from academia, assuming you moved from academia. Um, because in academia, you build kind of a research portfolio, the papers you've published, the projects you've been involved with. And when you apply to another position, you're being compared against people in similar situations. So, say if you go to industry for 5 years, then you may have worked on very interesting projects for a specific company, but probably a lot of that will not even be publicly known. And you may not have had any chance to work on your academic research in that time because, well, your main job was elsewhere. So that would make it tricky, I think, to get back into academia or to get into academia even. If perhaps you don't know exactly what you want and say you're finishing your PhD or you're considering whether to start a PhD or not, and you decide to take a job in industry for 1 year, and then maybe you think that's not really what I want and I would like academia, then that's fine. I don't think 1 year is going to set you back in any way in academia. And I guess perhaps the other way to get from industry into academia is once you have a lot of experience in industry. Say you've been working for 10, 20 years across different industries on software technology. And in many cases, universities now value things like partnerships with industry, etc. So there may be other routes into academia at that stage, I would think.
Thank you. So the next question is this one. So expanding on Haneli's question, I know when you were considering what to do after your postdoc, you were waiting up both industry and research fellowship. I think you had hoped that the research fellowship might remain open to you later. I think,
So that's a question from Jeremy Gibbons,
yes.
and he was in the same research group that I was at Oxford University when I was finishing my postdoc. Um, so he knows the situation I was in. I can share that at that same time I also applied for a Marie Curie fellowship, and I actually got the Marie Curie fellowship. Wasn't quite expecting it, but I got it. So that would have been 2 years working on a research project of my own design, pretty well paid for academic research standards. And it had the advantage that I could postpone it. It's begin the start of it for 1.5 years or nearly 2 years, I think, which I did. I didn't just outright drop it. Um, but yes, I guess in the end, I enjoyed the way things were going in industry, and I thought that was the path I wanted to take. I guess I was pretty lucky already in having had the opportunity to choose.
Okay,
So
thank
that may
you.
be an opportunity in some cases, but not always or not for everyone.
Okay, thank you. So the related question. So would you still consider returning to academia to research fellowship?
It's a natural follow-up question from Jeremy.
Yeah.
Um, Things have changed quite a lot in 6.5 years. For one, I don't see how I would be able to, in that I haven't done anything research-wise for 6.5 years, and things moved quite a lot since then. Um, but I guess I'm avoiding the question there. Whether I would really want to or whether I would do it, I don't think so at this stage. Being in industry, I guess, posed new challenges and allowed me to develop in other ways. And well, that's been quite. I think that's been a learning process for me. I've been able to do new things, and I still think there are lots of things I can expand further there. So at this stage, I wouldn't consider returning to academia.
Okay, thank you. So let us slightly change the direction. So how about this question? So do you think it is necessary to change the working institute after the PhD graduation, say to do a postdoc?
I'm not sure if I think it is necessary. I definitely think it is good. Um, then I remember also when applying to my Marie Curie fellowship, it, it would be good. I think there was this general idea that it would be more likely to be funded if I were to change. Um, I guess at the time I didn't quite understand this. Why, if you are in a great group doing great research, why would you need to move? Um, Now I think I understand that change is a fundamental process in life, in industry, in academia. Things will always keep changing, and you just have to be able to adapt to them. So that also kind of poses new challenges. You have to go into an unknown environment, deal with new people, and that tends to be stressful and a bit scary at the beginning. But it's really how you develop the most is by forcing yourself to deal with something new. So yeah, I know that of course doesn't work along very nicely with plans like having a house and a family. Um, but whether I think that is actually good in terms of career development, I think so. Yes.
Okay, thank you. So Pedro, I think this question is good for I mean, this help student a lot. So the lack of a portfolio can also be an issue when moving to industry. A lot of academics have little experience in software development. Did this affect you?
Right. So I was also lucky in that sense because, well, let's say Cordify, the very first mm, industry, let's say I worked in, I created it myself. So that, that wasn't a problem. I was starting from scratch. But after having been in Cordify, because Cordify actually worked out well and it was very visible, there's a website and you can say, well, all the backend is done in Haskell and all this stuff you see is being produced by Haskell computation. Then there is a portfolio already when you are applying to the next position. Also, I was kind of a very hands-on researcher, so I was making changes to the Haskell compiler. I had a bunch of libraries and software available on GitHub, etc. So I had a portfolio due to the nature of my academic work as well. And I think for anyone wanting to move to industry, that's what I would encourage to make sure they have code out there that shows, because most of the stuff you do in academia is open source anyway. So just put it out there. If you are doing something deeply theoretical that doesn't really have a lot of code to show, which is often which is the case in many fields of computer science, um, that's fine too. But you will find it harder to find places in industry that are looking for someone without much direct hands-on coding experience.
Okay, thank you. So the next question is this one. Were you interested in non-research aspect of academia, for example, teaching? If yes, do you have teaching opportunities at your current position?
So I don't think I was ever particularly good at teaching, uh, and and also therefore I think I was never too interested in teaching. I also think that in many cases academics are just expected to teach, but they've never been taught how to teach, and I think that's strange because teaching is not something natural. It's actually a skill that you can uh, improve on, and I think that the situation is changing, but it's certainly been the case in the past that you just get any PhD student and put them in front of a class of students. Um, which would not always end up in the best possible outcome for the students or the PhD student. So I'm kind of diverging a bit from the question, though. I guess I wasn't too interested in non-research aspects of academia. Now, at industry, um, it turns out that you're not really things are different in industry. I mean, I'm not doing research for one, but I'm also not programming 100% of the time. There are plenty of other skills, many of them that are developed in academia, that are required in industry and are very useful. Communication being one of them.
Okay, thank you. So the next question is this one. How would you rate your personal satisfaction of your contribution to the world working in industry versus working in academia?
So that's an interesting question, and I think the first time I really noticed the difference there was with Cordify, because while I was working on Cordify on the side, let's say, with my main job as a researcher, postdoc researcher at Oxford. And when I was writing papers, I was spending a lot of time working on quite challenging things to understand, to comprehend, to explain. And yeah, I had a feeling it took really months to produce a paper. And that paper would then be read by 10, 20 people, maybe listened to by 30, 40 people in a talk. And two or three may actually really understand it and speak to you about it. Whereas with Cordify, what we did there is take something that we had developed in academia and then build a web service on top of it to make it available for people to use it. And it was about music, so something that could be very relatable by people. And we went online in a few days. We were having thousands of visitors, and then 10,000 visitors, and people were posting on social media and saying that Cordify was great, and that was quite strange, and it felt like you really could reach a much wider audience outside academia. And this is not. I think this is just the way it is. There's not much you can do about it because, in most cases in academia, you are going to be working on deeply technical and specialized things that are very hard to understand or to have a direct impact on the lives of most people. But I think if you are in academia, you have to be very self-driven and motivated on your own for your own achievements, because you are probably not going to directly impact a large audience.
Okay, thank you. The next question is, what do you think you are learning in industry compared to academia? It's a related question.
Right. So I've learned many things in industry. I think one of the most important things I've learned is that as a programmer in universities, for example, if you go to a computer science degree, you are taught math, some physics maybe, and a lot of programming, languages, and also theory behind it. But you're not really taught much about problem analysis, communicating with non-technical stakeholders. And that in industry tends to be one of the biggest challenges. In academia, you are solving really hard problems that are probably never been solved elsewhere. In industry, you are probably not. You are doing reasonably simple things from a programming perspective. But the challenge is that you may not know exactly what your users need or want. Their requirements change over time. You may be constrained by policies or whatever in what you can actually use or not to deliver your solution. So it's uh, all those other problems around the actual software development that really become important in industry. And a lot of my learning experience has been around that. And also as I evolved from being a single developer working on something to managing a team of people. It's also been about understanding what is important to in a team of developers to focus on, how to keep people engaged with their work, and how to balance the individual needs with the needs of the institution, things like that.
Okay. So in the chat, so there is a follow question from, okay, let me bring this up. So from Gergo, but is that worth running?
Yes. I mean, in the end, I don't think we can live in a silo and do our own things. All companies are about many people getting together to try and build something. So if you want to succeed in that environment, you really have to have good communication and cooperation skills.
Okay, thank you. The next question, follow up on Alejandro. I'm guessing your SC employers already knew you and your academic work, so maybe your portfolio was not so significant.
Maybe, but why did they know me and my academic work? Oh, you mean my portfolio outside academia was not so significant? Maybe, but again, most of my portfolio, I don't know. I don't know what you mean exactly. So there's a portfolio of papers, and there's perhaps the portfolio of libraries and code that could be seen in GitHub, etc. So I'm actually not sure I understand the question, Jeremy.
Oh, Jeremy raised hand. So let me hand on this mic. So, hello, Jeremy.
Hi. Yes, Alejandro asked about your portfolio, and I thought he was meaning your code portfolio. So you had Cordify to show, and others might have a GitHub page, and they can point to all their open source projects they've contributed to. But you also had a research portfolio. You had papers, and you were known in the Haskell community. You're still known in the Haskell community for the work you were doing in your PhD. And that was presumably known to the people who recruited you to Standard Chartered. So I was getting into whether one needs to have a personal GitHub portfolio and code samples to show to an employer if you already have papers. You need to go and spend your evenings working on open source projects in order to get a foot in the door. And I'm guessing that it wasn't so important in your case. I mean, Cordify is great, but I'm guessing that just your papers would have been enough to get you attention from Standard Chartered.
Thank you. I understand now. Yes, I think so. And that also kind of ties to what I said before about the kind of problems we face in industry. It's not really just all about writing code. So if you have made contributions in research and you have been giving talks and you have proven that you can, say, explain the challenging and complex problems to an audience that is not immediately familiar with them, that is also a skill that is very much appreciated and looked for in industry. So no, you don't have to then also go on the side and put your code on GitHub. I guess in my case, though, I was also kind of lucky that the two went along, right? My papers always had some code to go with it.
Yeah. So I'm just saying that there's an alternative route, is to write some nice papers during your PhD and postdoc and be known for them for the kind of thing you do, and that can be, apparently, I'm guessing, sufficiently interesting to companies like Standard Chartered that they'll recruit you. So not all the Haskell recruits to Standard Chartered had their own startup company first.
Indeed. So I think it can be sufficient. However, if you are to be compared against a candidate that has more code to show, that may not. So it may still be in your advantage.
It may still help, certainly. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so going back to the Q&A board. So next question. You seem to be proud of your work in Codify. Why did you switch to SC? Comprehension for something else? Compensation for something else?
I am proud of my work in Cordify. I just thought, I think at the time, that there was something new to learn, or something significantly newer to learn at Standard Chartered. Joining a different team of people that I kind of knew the name but had not really worked closely with, and Cordify seemed to be in a nice position, and it didn't seem to need me to thrive. So I guess I embrace change.
Okay. So next question. Is your line of work on encoding and functional harmony in Haskell and considering applications of that approach is inspiring? Have you considered continuing it at some point?
Thanks. So Cordify kind of continues that work with applications of it in industry, and to expose that service to a mass audience. There were further ideas in research terms that were part of also my Marie Curie Fellowship application. I have pretty much abandoned it at this stage because I followed a different path, which I continue to enjoy. But I did make the text available online so that anyone else can decide to continue that line of research if they would like.
Okay, thank you. So the next question is, so what do you find most exciting in your current position?
I think what I find most exciting is the people, the people that I get to work with from all sides. It's not just the developers in my team and how I get to build that team, from hiring to coaching and positioning different developers in different projects, to the end users, stakeholders, understanding their needs, their priorities, and how we can use our software technology to improve their lives and what impact that can have. And how we deal with other teams, both technical IT teams and teams outside IT. So yes, even though I guess I was trained as a programmer, and I still call myself a programmer, what I find most exciting is not programming.
Okay.
I still find
So
it exciting though.
Thank you.
And I still really insist on coding every day, or coding in general. But that's not all that my position is about.
Okay, thank you. So we have only 1 minute. So let me finish this session with my own question. So my question is, what do you think is the most important thing we can do for widespread adoption of functional languages, especially in industry?
Okay, I guess I have to give a very brief answer to that. If I have to pick one thing, I guess the creation of, say, a unified front, like for Haskell, the Haskell Foundation aims to be having one organization that tries to understand how to best position a language to industry is, if I had to pick one topic for the most important thing, I guess I would go for that. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so time is up. So let us wrap up this session. Okay, everybody, thanks for coming to this session. And also, thank you very much, Pedro. And all of you,
Thank you,
hope you
Keon.
enjoy. Okay, thank you. Hope you all enjoy the rest of the conference. Okay,
Thank you all.
thank you. Thank you all. Bye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.